The night I discovered my husband had locked me outside my own home was the night I finally understood that some betrayals are not meant to break you. They are meant to wake you up. I had been married to Daniel for 7 years. From the outside, our life looked perfect. We lived in a beautiful house, drove expensive cars, attended elegant dinners, and appeared to have everything a successful couple could want. But behind the polished doors of our home, things had been changing for months. Daniel had become distant. He stopped asking about my day. He guarded his phone. He came home late and gave vague explanations. Whenever I asked what was happening, he accused me of being suspicious and controlling. I tried to believe him. Then one Friday evening, everything changed. I came home earlier than expected because a meeting had been canceled. As I walked toward the front door, I noticed Daniel's car already parked outside. I smiled, thinking I could surprise him. But when I reached the door and turned the handle, it wouldn't open. I knocked. Daniel opened the door. There was silence. I knocked again, louder. Finally, I heard footsteps. But instead of Daniel opening the door, a woman appeared behind the glass. She was wearing an expensive silk robe. My heart stopped for several seconds. Neither of us spoke. Then Daniel appeared behind her. He didn't look embarrassed. He looked annoyed. "Why are you here?" he asked. I stared at him in disbelief. "Why am I here? This is my house too." Daniel stepped closer to the door but didn't unlock it. "Go stay somewhere else tonight." I felt the blood drain from my face. "Who is she?" The woman looked away. Daniel sighed as if I were causing an inconvenience. "Her name is Vanessa." I laughed nervously because I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "Vanessa, you locked your wife outside while she's inside." Daniel's expression hardened. "Don't make a scene. I whispered, "You are cheating on me in our house." He lowered his voice. "We're finished, Claire. I was going to tell you soon." Those words hurt more than anything else. Not because I didn't suspect it, but because he had already decided that I was no longer worth the truth. I stood there in the cold, holding my handbag and staring at the man I had once trusted with my entire life. Then he said something I would never forget. "Everything here belongs to me. You don't have the right to make demands." I wanted to scream instead. I stepped away from the door. I called my father. He answered immediately. "Claire," my voice shook. "Dad, can you come get me?" There was a pause. Then he asked, "Where are you?" I looked at the house. "I'm outside my own home." He didn't ask another question. "I'll be there 20 minutes later." I heard the sound of approaching vehicles. At first, I thought it was traffic. Then headlights appeared at the end of the street. One black SUV, then another. Then another. Security vehicles followed. My father had arrived. He wasn't simply coming to pick up his daughter. He was arriving with his entire motorcade. My father, Richard Morgan, was a powerful businessman whose name carried enormous weight in the city. I had deliberately stayed away from his business world after getting married because I wanted my own life. Daniel knew my father's reputation, but I don't think he understood how much influence my father actually had. The vehicle stopped outside the house. My father stepped out of the first SUV. He looked at me. Then he looked at the locked door. "Who locked you out?" I didn't answer. I didn't need to. He understood. My father walked toward the door and knocked. Once Daniel opened it, the confidence disappeared from his face when he saw the convoy. "Mr. Morgan," my father looked at him calmly. "Where is my daughter?" Daniel swallowed. "She's outside." My father's eyes narrowed. "Your wife?" Daniel nodded. "Yes." "Then why is she standing outside her own house?" Daniel began explaining, talking about our marriage and saying we were having problems. My father listened silently. Then he asked one question. "Who is inside?" Daniel froze. Vanessa appeared behind him. My father looked at her, then back at Daniel. "You locked my daughter outside so another woman could stay inside." Daniel tried to defend himself. "It's complicated." My father shook his head. "No, it isn't." Then he turned toward me. "Claire, come with me." I looked at Daniel one final time. He seemed less powerful now. The man who had once made me feel small was suddenly standing in front of a reality he couldn't control. As I walked toward my father's vehicle, Daniel called after me, "Claire, wait." I stopped. He came outside. "Please, we can talk." I looked at him. "You had your chance." He lowered his voice. "I didn't mean for it to happen like this." I smiled sadly. "You didn't accidentally lock me outside, Daniel. You made a choice." My father opened the car door for me before I got inside. He said quietly, "Tomorrow morning we'll handle everything properly." And he did the next day. Lawyers were involved, financial records were reviewed, property documents were examined, and the truth Daniel had tried to hide began coming to light. The house wasn't solely his. Several major assets he proudly claimed as his own had been purchased, using money connected to investments my father had made for me. Before our marriage, Daniel had mistaken my silence for weakness. He had mistaken my independence from my father's business, for ignorance most importantly. He had mistaken my kindness for permission to disrespect me. The divorce process was painful, but I survived it. Vanessa disappeared from Daniel's life almost as quickly as she had entered it. And Daniel eventually learned that losing me was not the greatest consequence of that night. The greatest consequence was losing the trust, reputation, and financial security he had spent years pretending he built alone. Months later, I stood outside a new apartment overlooking the city. It wasn't as large as the house I had shared with Daniel, but it was mine. No one could lock me out. No one could tell me I didn't belong. My father stood beside me and smiled. "You know," he said, "I almost brought twice as many cars that night." I laughed for the first time in months. "Dad, that was already dramatic enough." He smiled. "I wasn't trying to be dramatic then." "What were you trying to do?" He looked at me seriously. "Remind you that you were never alone." Those words stayed with me, because sometimes the strongest moment in a person's life isn't when they fight back. Sometimes it's the moment they finally stop begging someone else to treat them with respect. That night, my husband thought he had locked me outside. He didn't realize he had actually opened the door to my freedom. And when my father's motorcade arrived, it wasn't there to rescue a helpless woman. It was there to remind me of something I had forgotten for too long. I had always been capable of standing on my own. I just needed to stop standing beside someone who wanted me to believe I couldn't.